It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Welcome, everybody, to our Daily Gun Show. On Fridays, we take a look at the week and our Second Amendment. Does this work? What's going on? I just feel like this is not the right microphone. There we go. And that should be a lot better. All right, welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. On Friday nights, we take a look at what's been going on in the week. This week, let's see. We won't have anything to look at on the screen because I really didn't have a chance to get everything set up. Tried doing something a little bit different this week. We'll see if anybody joins us. But I've sent out quite a few links here just a couple minutes ago to see if anybody wants to join in a roundtable discussion. We're getting into a pretty political window, era, time frame. You know, it's going to be a couple of months of really political stuff again. I don't know how old you are. If you feel like being a part of the show, let us know how many presidential elections you've gone through, how many cycles you've been experienced. So I would say I'd have to have done at least 10, more than that, in my lifetime. And, you want to pay attention to them, but at the same time, there's a certain amount of political stuff that's happening. So with that in mind, there's different positions and different points of view and different perspectives and different experiences when you start talking about this stuff. And instead of just getting a lecture or a presentation, I figured I'd try a different approach. So if anybody jumps in, we'll go through some of these things tonight and get a couple of people's opinion on them. But until then, we'll just dig in like we normally do. So there's two things we're going to be taking a look at. I just had to restart my computer, so I'm having to open up everything here as I'm chatting. But the first thing we'll take a look at is the history on my YouTube channel, stuff that I've looked at this week, the videos that I've watched. And that's usually what I put into this show, is the stuff that I've been paying attention to that is a focus on 2A or adjacent. And then then we'll take a look at the NSSF government relations newsletter that comes out on Fridays. This is a email that's we're looking at the browser version of the email. And I usually don't try to push everything that's coming out of this email because there's a lot of it, but let's kind of wean it down a little bit. So if I was doing this normally, we have a kind of a format that I'll create the show with each week. And this first part of the format is the news of the week, right? And that news usually comes from this NSSF government relations update. So the NSSF is the National Shooting Sports Federation or Foundation, and their goal is the liaison between the industry and the government, essentially. And then they've taken on a bigger role than that lately. So this is a newsletter that goes out every Friday morning to the industry. Anybody can subscribe to it, and it's a pretty good window on what's going on out there. So G23 is out there. Welcome. Yeah, I think I set this thing up for yesterday or tomorrow because I was setting it up so late, but it's actually happening right now. So let's see. Obviously, the news with the president and now the vice president running. The vice president is all over the place, so everyone's running around worried about it. Like I say, it's political stuff happening right now. Depending on how many of these things you've been through, I suspect, how much weight you give them, how much attention you're going to give them, and how worried you're going to get about this stuff. House Republicans knock Democrats for gun control push. All right, so you got some bickering. And we've had assassinations at least every generation, if not more than that. So let's not act like everything's unprecedented, and let's not act like we have some protocol. The protocol last time was in the 1980s, so things changed quite a bit, and we got a lot of battles. So I'm not sure. I'd like to get other people's opinion on that, but I'm not sure where to prioritize worrying about things once we got so much happening here going forward. Let's see. Judge extends city of Gary. Is it Gary, Indiana? Lawsuit once again. City of Gary versus Glock. A nearly quarter of a century old court case. All right, so I guess back in at some point, Indiana said municipalities can't file lawsuits, that the state has to do it, and since the state didn't do it, it's moot. So I don't know why that's a big reason. That's big news, but somehow that's big news this week. NSSF to host Import-Export Conference next week in Washington, D.C. That's kind of interesting. Right now, we have the exports of firearms on hold because of an executive branch decision, because the president doesn't like how Israel handed out the small arms. So they put a restriction on all exportation of all small arms to the entire world. And that's costing the industry about $23 million right now. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on in this conference next week and what they're going to try to do about that and how they're affected by it. Let's see, House. This is some federal news now. House passes the interior spending bill with the NSSF priorities. They've been pretty much talking about this every week. They've got a lot of stuff that they've championed, and they has to do with hunting and fishing mostly, I think. Maybe a little bit of recreational shooting and where you can do those kind of things, when maybe. So looks like the House has passed some acts. So I don't know if that means anything other than the House passed them. So here's that BIS, which is the Bureau of Industry and Security, is the people who are holding the imports, or the exports, I guess. And it says Senator Scott takes export rule to task. So here's a senator who's complaining about the Bureau of Industry and Security halting exports. Looks like it's costing the industry an estimated $500 million per year. It was something like $23 million last time. So it's definitely costing our industry some money. What's the side effect, or what's the results of that going to be? Is it going to be cheap guns everywhere, or is it going to be companies going out of business? That's a lot of money to not have generation when you build the things to be sold. Let's see, your firearms policy has resulted in over $71 million in licenses canceled for this company. So that's one company in South Carolina. Who could he be talking about? All right, next up is Oversight Chairman calls out White House Glock bulk. What does that say? So this is hard to say. The U.S. House of Representatives isn't playing, avoiding answers about political collusion with anti-gun groups to target Glock with a frivolous lawsuit. Oversight. Hey. I guess we're going to listen to them drink. Director of the White House quit stalling and provide answers over potential collaboration between the Biden officials and Everytown. Instead of answering, responded by making counter accusations that they were shilling for the gun lobby. What is that supposed to mean? And less time obstructing congressional investigations into potential misconduct and misuse of office. So looks like some bickering with Glock lawsuit. Hey, you could do that like 23 other hours of the day. Get out of here. Get out of here. Treasury Department claims Florida's anti-woke law a threat to national security. Okay. Warren introduces a bill to restore administrative state power. What? Struck the Chevron doctrine. She introduced Stop the Corporate Capture Act that would codify Chevron. So I guess that's important, but is there anything she does that happens? Does she ever get to follow through on everything? She seems like a real alertist. She gets everybody upset and gets news articles written, but does she ever do anything? Does anything ever happen from her? Next up is NSSF profile. Some representative from Missouri. When the first-term congressman isn't working on behalf of his constituents, he enjoys breaking clays at the skeet course. Supports legislation like repeal the National Firearms Act. Oh, nice. Pushing it back against the relentless attack on the Second Amendment. Okay, sounds good. So that's somebody from Missouri. Welcome to the Senate, or what is it? The House, to the House of Representatives. Let's see. Next up is some state news. Georgia governor visits Norma Precision. So Savannah, Georgia is home to Norma Precision Ammunition. And the governor went there to get a look at the investment the ammunition makers made in expanding their footprint into the Peach State. Norma announced it's moving its headquarters to Georgia in 2022, investing $60 million in hiring 600 people. Georgia has become a hub for ammunition manufacturing. The governor went to SHOT Show to showcase the strong and friendly business opportunities for firearms, ammunition, and firearms accessory businesses. Georgia's never been not a gun state, and they're certainly leaning into it. That's cool. Where did Norma come from? Sweden or someplace? Finland? So NSSF hosts Rocky Mountain State lawmakers, Rocky Mountain State representatives at Wyoming governor's match. What kind of idiot says lawmakers? NSSF Nephi Cole hosted 13 Wyoming representatives to talk about the $40 million shooting complex that the state is investing in Cody to build a premier multidiscipline shooting complex. In Cody, Wyoming? Really? $40 million in Cody? Wow. So anybody know where Cody is? It's on the top of Wyoming, sitting next to Montana. It's not necessarily anywhere near anything. It's probably because of that stupid museum there. I wonder where they're going to put it. Probably on the, probably on the north side. They're going to wail on that existing range that's there. I was surprised they don't put it next to the college or something in Laramie. Isn't that where it's at? I think there'd be more people there. I don't know who's going to drive up to Cody for a $40 million complex. But, all right, whatever. It's the Wyoming's money, I guess. Then Pennsylvania, lawmakers eliminate fund. Well, they keep saying lawmakers. Pennsylvania representatives eliminate funding for 3 gun control efforts. Okay. The representatives successfully axed several aspects of the governor's gun control schemes from the Commonwealth budget, according to AmmoLand. Okay. 3 gun control initiatives were removed from the governor's budget. All right, so it's good to hear. Next, we have the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources kicks off the National Shooting Sports Month with statewide Hunter Education Day. Does Kentucky need a Hunter Education Day? I guess it's just an excuse to go hunting again in Kentucky. Let's see. Kentucky Department of Wildlife and Natural Resources, or whatever it is, will offer nearly 30 in-person hunter education classes and live range fire days at convenient locations across Kentucky. Written test and a live fire exercise, an online course, live fire exercise, and range day. Hosted, dedicated. All right, well, so it's already helping people getting their hunter safety courses. That's always a good idea. Hands up if you got a hunter safety course. Not many people participating today, but if there were, hands up if you had a hunter safety course, how long ago it was. Mine was probably when I was like 12 or something, so a long, long time ago. 2 Utah DWR Department of Wildlife Resources ranges celebrate National Shooting Sports Month. So August, next month, is National Shooting Sports Month. Is that something that we should get behind as gun people? DJ is saying 1983 or 1984. Yeah, that's probably the era I'm thinking I probably went. But you learn a lot of interesting stuff. Stuff that's just useful, like you get stuck out in the woods, or how to signal an airplane, that kind of stuff, like how to start a fire. So it looks like Utah's got 2 new ranges coming. Nothing about the cost. I wonder if they cost $40 million. And how far are they going to be from, let's see, in Utah? Now they'd be pretty far. I was thinking Idaho. So So Utah's got 2 new ranges. So they could use a new range down on the south. Is that the Lee K? Oh no, the Lee K is that the one that's right by Salt Lake City? It's been a while. I've been to quite a few of the ranges in Utah, though. Good state for shooting, that's for sure. All right, then they say this is other news. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service announces voluntary pilot programs for alternative ammunition hunting. The Fish and Wildlife Service announced it's implementing a pilot program at 7 national wildlife refuges during this fall's hunting season to test voluntary incentive-based efforts to increase alternative ammunition used by hunters on service-administrated lands. So I know some people that are hunting crane this year, and they're having to deal with alternative ammo because they're shooting into the water. And they're trying to knock down a crane, so they're going to be using 3-inch shotgun. We were just setting up the blind today, by the way. NSSF does not oppose voluntary efforts for hunters to choose the ammunition. You better not. What the hell? Of course, it's voluntary. You can do whatever you want. All right, next up, Judge rebuffs ATF on forced reset triggers. Looks like the District of Texas, Fort Worth, vacated the VATF classification of forced reset triggers as machine guns. That's good to hear. Then we get defendants respond to Mexico's objection for a Supreme Court petition. So defendants Smith & Wesson, and I guess just Smith & Wesson, getting sued for $10 billion by Estados Unidos Mexicanos, the United States of Mexico, claiming U.S. firearms manufacturers are responsible for narco-terrorism. Replied to Mexico's opposition that the Supreme Court should consider the case. This case involves a foreign sovereign trying to use the American court system to bankrupt the American firearms industry based on a novel and far-fetched tort claims, contrary to express statutory command laid down by Congress. Let's see. So that's just them responding. I guess there's no action here except for them responding. Let's see. Then we have federal court dismisses negligent marketing claim against Daniel Defense. Negligent marketing. Found that the plaintiffs did not have standing, protection of lawful commerce and arms, criminal misuse of course, head of school, of course. Yeah. The kid wore shoes, probably. Took a car to school. Probably wearing pants, but they're not going to go after any of those companies. Judge denies New Mexico waiting period injunction because 2A doesn't include right to acquire. Oh, yeah. So New Mexico did some heinous crap, and the district court, right, the district of New Mexico, the court, wait, the federal district, yeah, district court for the New Mexico area, they came back and said that because they used to be racist and say that certain people couldn't have firearms based on who they were, then now they can refuse firearms still. So that's going to be an interesting one. And New Mexico's standing on racism as their justification, I guess, for their new restrictions or their new infringements. So this one's frustrating, but unfortunately, I think it's good law. So I'd like to hear what Alex Uli would say about that one, or one of the other lawyers, perhaps. But I think it's correct. Like, they are allowed to stand on old law. It's just that it's heinous because they're standing on racism. And I think the court of opinion or whatever, we should be able to bring that up, that's what they're basing it on. So, just because they technically have the ability doesn't mean that it's right? So I think we can still challenge them, but I think that's the way Bruin says, or the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus the loser Bruin. That's how that one says that, whatever was is, and that is what was. Shot University call for presentations. So issued a call for presentations for the session at SHOT Show in Vegas. University will be held. Oh, really? I thought that they asked for them. I didn't know that people offered presentations. SHOT Show University is what happens during SHOT Show. Usually, I think throughout the week, they screw around with it. Sometimes they do it like just the first couple of days. Sometimes they do it for all 4 days. Sometimes there's like one after another all day long, and sometimes there's just a few every day, and then every mix of all of that. So essentially, though, it's just a bunch of conference rooms somewhere in SHOT Show. They move it around. Right now, they're in the new area. It's probably where they'll stay. But there's just some conference rooms, small conference rooms in the big new building, the Caesars building or whatever it's called. And they'll just have signs on the doors, and for like an hour it'll be this presentation, and for the next hour it'll be this presentation, and so forth. So proposed presentations must meet the 1 hour per session time frame and should include at least a 15-minute break. Or no, a 15-minute time dedicated for questions and answers from the audience. Well, that's very interesting. So I've been to a couple of these over the years, and I'm not going to say I've ever been impressed. But now they're $75 usually to walk in the door. So I haven't seen one in years. I know people that go to them, and I don't know anybody that's been impressed by them. I think people feel like they should go to some of them, but then they usually aren't. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's interesting, though. I didn't know that they just was first come, first serve, and people put their stuff in there. All right, that's the end of the newsletter. So that's what I usually start the show off with. We're about 20 minutes in. I put a bunch of links out there. I was going to try to make it a roundtable show, but I guess nobody's jumping in for that. So we'll just go through and take a look at some of the stuff I watched this week. It's going to be in random order. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's see. So Guns for Everyone did a show. It was like right during Yankee show, I think. So they were talking about red dots. So I don't agree with everything they do, but they do good stuff. So if you want to hear a conversation about red dots on pistols, there you go. I'm about halfway through this one. This is Mike Drop doing an interview with another SEAL, and pretty interesting guy. He's a SEAL, and then he went to be an officer, and they know each other, so it's like listening to two friends talk about the old days. Been a pretty good conversation. I think it's like 3 hours. It's 4 hours. I'm about 2 hours into it. The Wire, if you don't listen to S2 Underground, suggest you check it out. It's a pretty good channel for just no-nonsense news. It's very practical, and it's short. So this is a pretty long one, 8 minutes. Usually they're about 3 minutes. They're daily, and then sometimes there's a weekly wrap-up. And this is everything. This is the entire planet's worth of news, keeping track of intel, essentially. Oh man, I almost didn't find the mute button there. All right, I noticed there's a bunch of comments over here, so I'm going to play a commercial here real quick. And that'll give me a chance to get something to drink. And then we'll talk about some of these comments that are coming in.
This is Earl Benson reporting from downtown Topeka, where Gizzard Gary is rampaging through the city. Authorities have asked the public to stay indoors. They believe he will tire soon and need a nap. Gizzard Gary can normally be seen on Foul Territory Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Wednesday, 8 p.m. for the channel members chat. Stay safe and give him the bird. Earl Benson signing off.
I finally got my CO2 can for my soda stream, so I can stop by and factory soda or seltzer water. I can start making my own. That's been an ordeal. All right, so what do we got over here? DJ, I think he's talking about going to hunter safety class. Learned a lot. Had no practical experience with firearms. That program meant a lot to me, and many of its lessons are still with me. I'll never forget how to cross a fence. Yeah, I mean, as a little kid, I remember it being one of the first like real things. Like, you got to do this in order to be able to carry around a gun and go hunting. So it felt like a real class, as opposed to just going to school and learning for the sake of learning. And we were learning cool stuff. So it was nothing I didn't already know from Scouts, but it was interesting to hear the state reiterate what Scouts had already told us. C&T is out there. Welcome. Hope things are going well on your side of the internet. Woods is out there as well. Welcome. Vulcan is out there. And I guess that's everybody. So if you're out there, then how would we know if you're not saying anything? We don't broadcast to X right now. The Patreons did suggest that we go ahead and do it. I just have to wait till we have some money. But as soon as I can get some money, I'll subscribe to that X, and then we'll be broadcasting over there again. But for now, feel free to chat it up. We're just saying thanks for the tip on the wire. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Especially, it's better than like listening to, what are those things called? Like radio. I forget what they're called, but some of the Europe stuff where they watch us, it's better because it's a guy from the United States essentially doing intel. All right, so now we have Gun Owners of America complaining about New York for 14 minutes. I didn't watch this one yet, so let me know if that one's good or not. 33,000 views. There's when Guns for Everyone probably actually happened. Yeah, see, right when I was on with Yankee. Normally I'll go on with Yankee, every other week or something, him and Matt. And, it's sometimes all three of us, sometimes just two of us. And then sometimes I'm not there for it. But I usually post on my channel that I'm going over there. And this time I had somebody complain about it. I haven't had anybody complain about Yankee in a while. So that's interesting. Just a little side note. Gear Report happens at the same time if you watch that one. Now, this was an interesting one. Blue to Green podcast, one of my recent things that I follow. They barely ever do videos, once a month maybe, and when they do, they're good. So this one is a cop from, I forget now. He's a cop from back east somewhere, I think, and then he came out to Mesa, Arizona, and then his wife is from Washington or something, I think Washington or Oregon, and then came down to Arizona, and then they ended up getting married. And they both retired from law enforcement, and then talking about the suicide and stress and issues of law enforcement. And they do a presentation to, I think, academies, so that essentially right from the beginning, people that are going into law enforcement are getting awareness that their mental health is an important thing, because they just, I don't know if you think about what police have to deal with potentially on a day, especially in a larger workplace where there's a lot of people that they have to deal with on a daily basis, and the things that they have to alternate between this to that to this to that, and expecting anybody to just, grit their teeth and get through it is expecting a lot. So if you see a bunch of horrible stuff, and then you have to go deal with something like getting a cat out of a tree, and then some horrible stuff, and then a false alarm, and then you get all, there's just all these different situations, and same but similar but different to emergency EMS type of jobs. So really interesting conversation here, touching on awareness, but also the mental health aspect is really good. Krabby's not out there, but he recommended checking out this one. I don't usually watch Washington Gun Law, but this was what does he call it? I can't get the thing to show me the title. How to start removing gun-free zones. So I figured I'd check that out. Of course, Unapologetically Armed is an advocate for gun-free zones have got to go. And this was essentially complaining about the 1,000-foot, what do they call it, like radius or perimeter of a gun-free zone, and really conflates it with school zones. How school zones have a 1,000-foot radius, and some gun-free zones have that, but not all of them. And essentially a case that's going to challenge the 1,000-foot radius or whatever. Let's see. Well, somebody's asking what's the best 40 Smith & Wesson ammo, whatever your police are using. DJ's got some interesting links out there. Thanks for posting those. Vulcan is saying they took more of our rights away again today. Oh yeah, where at? I think they can restrict rights. I don't know if they can take them away. They can get in the way, they can affect your rights, but the rights are still there, right? Like all they can do is get in the way of them. Or am I wrong? Again, we got a lot of links out there, but I guess nobody wanted to join us tonight to have a round table. But that could have been the kind of question we're asking tonight. Let's see. The next thing is Mouse Party. I missed that one. I tried taking a nap before it and woke up 2 hours after it, so that didn't work. But they did a bracket, so if you want to go watch a movie bracket, go check it out. Or if you want to watch the movie, or you want to watch the episode of Chips where they got a ninja in it, here's 9 minutes of gold. I was looking for the shower gun. I guess there's a Chips episode where they talk about a shower gun. So I was looking for that episode, and then I found this Ninja Chips episode. Let's see. Then we've got... this is KD talking about his sending back a Surefire. Lots of people talk about sending stuff back and complaining and whatnot. So every once in a while I watch one of those videos. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Gizzard does a members... Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Gizzard does a members only chat. So now that'll be at the top of my list. I have to scroll all the way back. Gizzard does a members only chat. Hillbilly does a members only chat. I don't really think... I was thinking about doing a members only chat, but I don't think anybody would join in. So I don't know if it's worth doing it. If you're a member or a Patreon, you want me to do a members only chat, let me know. I give stuff away in that chat. Give way more stuff away than they give away. The Goal podcast. So if you're not paying attention to Massachusetts, that's what this is all about. So Goal is the Gun Owners Action League, state level organization in Massachusetts, and they have, well, they've already been regularly posting content, but this is their special report, I guess, on the new infringements that they've got going in Massachusetts. Right now, Massachusetts is having the worst time that any state has had in a while, and probably they'll make them the worst state. It'll be interesting to see what all happens as it all unfolds, and it's not likely that anything will stop. It's just a matter of when it all happens and how bad it happens, but it's happening pretty bad right now. And I don't know if there's much news about it other than the people in Massachusetts trying to figure out what's happening and then cry that they need help, because I don't even know if they know what to ask for. which is sad. We shouldn't need to know as victims. We shouldn't need to know what to ask for. We should be able to say, hey, I'm being victimized, and then have people who are capable and competent come to their aid, right? Like, why can't we do that? Why can't we? How many times do we have to watch states fall that we can't figure this shit out? We can't prevent this shit. What if they had a flood? We'd send a bunch of napkins and hoses and boats and shit. If they had a snow thing, we'd send a bunch of snow shovels and warm meals. They're getting wailed on politically. Why can't we band together? Where are our national level organizations? But I guess alone thinking that our national level organizations that bring in tens of millions of dollars could do anything about these states that are getting destroyed by themselves. Anyway, so then we get this is, I don't know what to think of it. This one is Team House, but it's not really Eyes On, but it was like a special edition on Tuesday where they talk about this guy from Vietnam. So Jack and this other guy who do a blog together met up with one of the MacV guys from, or MacV guys from Vietnam. Just an epic dude. Like, if you've seen the movie Rambo, they would probably, that was like a quarter of the stuff this guy did, because then he ended up going into the CIA, and he's just been a legend. So these guys met up with him, had like a 5-hour conversation and question and answer session with him in order to start writing some stuff about it. And this was an hour plus talking about that. So it's a pretty fun conversation, but it's not really the Team House. It's more of a, I don't know, a special edition or something. The other day I decided to, I was sick of doing stuff and wanted to sort out all my knives. I've had knives laying around all over the place that I've been grabbing lately. So brought them all, put them in one place, put them all in one bag. So now I know where they're all at. I can lose them all very easily. And then found like 4 or 5 that are sitting here that are going to be going out to Patreons. So Patreons are going to be getting some knives here pretty soon. Let's see, what is this one? Oh, I didn't watch this one yet. I'm going to click off on this. This is an Ironclad. This is just something I must have rolled over from this one maybe. But I haven't watched this one. I usually don't watch the little clickbait ones from Ironclad. It's bad enough trying to watch Ironclad. Let's see. So I didn't watch this one. I was going to. But something happened with Mike Glover. I don't know what it is. But I was going to try to figure it out by watching this one. I think I started and went outside and quit watching it. So I don't know what happened on that one. Was that Sunday night I was doing that? It might have been. Let's see. So this is Gun Owners Radio. They've had, I don't know why, they posted like a whole bunch of their lead talks all at once, but they're going to do something like TED Talks, but they're calling it lead talks. And it's Q&A sessions. It's like a quick or a fairly short seminar, I guess, or a talk from a CCW instructor in California, and then a Q&A session after. So it's pretty fun, and they're live, but they did them all at the same time. They should have spread those things out for some reason. I don't know why they did them all at one time. Another little clickbait thing from Ironclad. So this must have been Maj talking about somebody who I don't know who it is. There's Hillbilly does his members only chat. Bullets for Bucks went live for like an hour last week. Let's see, what was this about? Oh, this one was pretty neat. This is Forge of Freedom. They do 2 chats or 2 episodes each week, and the episode earlier in the week was about restitution, an approach to addressing crime. Never heard of this before, but our system of crime or addressing crime is rehabilitation. So we see a criminal and we put them in jail to quote unquote rehabilitate them so that they learn a lesson. And then when they come out, they've paid a price or whatever. But it's focused on the criminal, where restitution, and then in our system, the criminal goes to jail, the victim can go pound sand because nobody cares about the victim. The victim is the victim. The criminal is all everybody cares about. And the victim pays for the criminal to be in jail. So essentially the victim is getting double victimized. So with this restitution form of government, and I guess this is what Japan is like, you look at the victim. So if there's a crime, the victim decides what's going to happen, how to be compensated for that crime. So if they steal something, you get it back, then that's one thing. But if it's murder or something, then I guess the restitution might be you got to go to jail. But an interesting conversation for sure. And I hadn't heard of this system of approaching crime before. Really dig it. Oh, let's see. Vulcan is saying, make sure you watch Toby's show. Cape Con works at 8 time tomorrow. It's going to be one hell of a show from Massachusetts. What are you talking about? On Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning? He's going to have a show? I didn't know that. But it's good to know. Thank you. DJ saying the shower gun is from episode 120. You can find a clip on YouTube. I'm not going to play it, but you can find a clip on here. I must have watched it. Unless I watched it on a different account, it would be in here somewhere. But it's they stop a guy on the side of the road, and he says, "Oh, I got guns in the car, sure." And he has like 5 or 6 guns. And then he says, "I also got a gun at home. It's my shower gun." And then the 2 cops are going, "Ha ha ha, we stole all that guy's guns from him." And they're like, "Except for the shower gun." Ha 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 ha. So it's just a massively fucked up episode. I don't remember watching. I remember watching Chips and thinking motorcycles were cool, but I don't remember what douchebags those guys were. So I don't know if Chips goes. What do they say? If it's still. What do they call that? If it's still good or not. I imagine Chips, from what I watched of it, seems like Chips is pretty jackbooted. Hey, look at that. We got Bullets for Bucks over here, and there he is saying, hey. So, welcome. All right, so look, he's pointing at his YouTube button over there. Let's see. Then we had another one talking about that. There's Toby's Tuesday show. Toby goes live on Tuesdays. He goes live on Wednesdays, and then he does a radio show on Sundays. If he doesn't even go live more than that, it sounds like Vulcan is saying that he'll be going live tomorrow morning, so it's good to know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in Massachusetts, and being aware of it is one thing, but again, if you've got business that you do in Massachusetts, or you've got family in Massachusetts, if you work with somebody who's got family or does stuff in Massachusetts, we all have, we're all potentially adjacent to Massachusetts in some ways, and we're allowed to contact their representatives. And Woods is saying Chips is way anti-gun. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably is. It was probably part of the propaganda machine to make California the way it is today. There's Crump talking about what's her face being removed from being the ATF director, I guess. This is the lead talks that I watched, the first one that happened on Monday, and then I thought they were over. I thought it was once every Monday, but then they went ahead and did like 3 or 4 more, so I didn't watch all of them, but it was pretty good. So Gun Club Radio was doing their 100th episode, and he gave away this deck of cards, and I went over to find out what this deck of cards was all about. And our friend Ori Gear up in Oregon had posted a video about it, so I was looking at the that. Then there's Gun Club Radio doing their 100th episode. Tony was on. Again, Walk Talk America went live with Yuta for almost 2 hours. And let's see, Rolo went live talking about the president, I think. There's Toby on Wednesday. No, that would have been a special edition on Monday, I think. I think he had gone live earlier, and a bunch of people were asking questions, so he just went live to literally answer questions for a while. Then on Sunday, he does that show, and I think this is the one. See, this one ended up being an hour. That's when he was like, okay, I'll just go live again. This one I watched because I think DJ was saying that this was a good show to watch. And then I went back and started watching it, and I've got about 15 minutes into it, and I went, wait a minute, I was watching this thing live. I've already seen this one. So I quit watching it. There's Gun Owners Radio. They go live on Sundays. Worth checking out. I finally on Saturday watched Maj doing his conversation with Nick, the Reaper. So that was worth listening to. And looks like that's it. So that was me getting ready for the show last week. So normally I would put all this stuff together and post it in the description of this video. And then I take that information and post it over on Substack as a post, on our Patreon as a blog post, and often on other platforms out there. We've got Twitter, of course, but then Minds, Locals, Getter, MeWe. So that way the links that we would show here and all these people and all these projects would get more reach. So I missed a couple of things. This is just the stuff that I watched on this computer. I do watch stuff on the other computer, so typically the show includes more than just the things I watched on this computer, which actually I turned the other computer off quite a bit this week to just save the heat in the house. But there are some things like I didn't have Combat Story in here, and the other Team House isn't in here. So the stuff I usually watch on a couple hour long shows, I'll watch on the other machine. But thanks everybody for joining us. This one will be kind of short, I guess, tonight. Like I say, I tried to do this as a roundtable show. I guess that didn't work. But maybe one day people will join in and we can get a little bit of alternative point of view or alternative perspective. I really I'm not interested in offering a lecture here or any kind of just a presentation. Really, we're trying to keep track of this stuff weekly so that it doesn't get out of hand, and keep rational about this stuff. But I'm always concerned that we're missing something. So that's why I figured it might be interesting to have some other folks participating. If you're folk that would like to participate, then let me know. Otherwise, let's see. We will see if I missed anything in the comments here. Wood said, I think he's talking about the Chip series. Ooh, man, I don't know if I could watch the whole thing. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining. We'll throw another quick commercial out here for the Gear website store, and we'll recommend that you check out Suicide Prevention Saturday tomorrow. If I had a link to it, I would post that right away. But Tony and I will go live in the afternoon tomorrow. Then Brooke will host her show, Suicide Prevention Saturday, normalizing the conversation about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. After that, Hillbilly, I think after that we might actually see an overnight, if I got my weeks right. And then, she fires on Sunday. Back to Gun Owners Radio. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for participating. And we'll be back to pick you up later.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.